How many of you came to Austyn's workshop yesterday? Wonderful. She is such a beautiful, wonderful teacher. She's excellent in her skills, in her connection with spirit. It's a joy to be in her classes where we all feel so at ease, so comfortable in our learning process. And I'm very delighted to call her my friend, Austyn Wells.
Good morning. Good morning. I have missed this church so much. I was supposed to be here last fall when everything transpired with the fires. And I just have missed you all so much. This is my home church for a reason, because it feels like home. Home isn't necessarily a feeling that we feel everywhere. It's such a fullness of feeling that it oftentimes, I get so sentimental when I'm here because I know I'm in my soul because I can't find the right words to capture all of the feeling of it. I wanted to share yesterday. Paul, thank goodness, was here when this transpired. I was setting up for class, and we were in the kitchen, and we came out here, and I jumped because Judy was sitting in the chair here. Now, as a medium sees two different ways. It's called subjective and objective. Subjective is when you see like a film strip in your head. Objective is when you actually see the person, okay? Judy was in the chair, and it scared the heck out of me. I was like, oh my God. And it took poor Paul, I think it was probably, a good 10 minutes before I had any sense of recovery from it. But I realized, not only do I love and miss the woman tremendously, I needed her presence. My work as a medium allows me to be in a place and space where I can offer a sacred space for others. I feel when I do my work, I am given the opportunity to practice being the kind of human being we should all be. When we have an open heart, we have that availability to really be there for each other, to listen with unconditional love and allowance, to witness what that person is going through and create a sacred space for the permission for their human experience to be felt and seen and understood. I'm unaccustomed, honestly, to being in a space where I have great needs, but of late I have had great needs. And I realized, as was illustrated yesterday in the class, we don't practice needing and making those needs available very much as nurturers. And most of us that will be drawn to a location like this will fall into that category of loving to be of service for other people, but for the acknowledgement of need. So as I was in meditation and I asked the spirit world, what can I say today that would be gracious and helpful? They said, talk about the need to receive. And I was listening to the Declaration of Principles, and we asked for healing. But it's a bigger thing to acknowledge that vulnerability that comes with the acknowledgement we equally have needs. We have confusions. We have that finite part of us that forgets the infinite part of us, that has our emotions and our ego and is caught up in all of the circumstances of our lives, can get lost. And the reason why we come to a facility like this, the reason why we create community, the reason why we need each other is not only to be of service to each other when we hold sacred space for each other as Maria and Linda and Paul did so beautifully when we started the service today, but it's also to acknowledge when our needs are great and we need. And I think the greater challenge then is we need to, in that moment, one, acknowledge the fact that we're worthy of receiving what it is that we need, which means a subtle way that we have to say, I can allow God, Source, infinite intelligence, to directly work with my soul. That's a big supposition. All of our vulnerabilities, the parts of us that don't necessarily feel that we're worthy of that encounter, it's hard for us to be in a place like when Hridaya was doing the beautiful meditation and asking us, who is that source that is beyond us, that holds that energy of faith and trust that we envision when we need that cup of courage or that cup of faith. And to put yourself in alignment with God and say, I am of worth that you can heal me, open my heart, remind me of what I need, and allow me to be vulnerable and feel cool with being vulnerable, means that we are given this opportunity to align with the divine. So practicing that willingness, that openness, that childlike availability to say, this is so beyond my understanding. My finite self cannot figure this one out at all. I need help, I need guidance, and then I'm going to give the whole thing to you. And then the next part of the faith comes in where I'm going to actually trust that one, someone's listened to my request, and that I am worthy of receiving that assistance. Because in our Declaration of Principles, we talk about the spirit world, we talk about our ancestors, and we talk about an infinite intelligence being receptive to our needs and having that communication. But it's also the need of our soul to connect with that source energy as one simple, single energy. Because as healers, as nurturers, as these beautiful souls that I know you all are that go out in the world and hold that place for someone else, we equally have to uphold that space for ourselves. And in allowing that relationship to deepen and to really free fall into that place, I think we're the best version of ourselves. There's a lovely documentary that Ram Dass has done, which you can find on Netflix. I'm a little new to Ram Dass, and I really am quite enjoying the journey with him and the Bhagavad Gita and some just amazing teachings. But it's a half-hour documentary, and he's in the dying process. And all of his spiritual tools, because he spent his entire life in alignment, well, probably not entire because he is human after all, but after his stroke, every single faith that he had got massively challenged, but he is actually walking with such gratitude, not just in front of the camera, but he's a perfect illustration of what it can look like when we create that divine relationship, which is a one-on-one thing. People will come to us and ask for assistance because what they're looking for is what that feels like. But within ourselves, that same permission exists. So let us be courageous. Let us spoil ourselves with this idea that within us is this great need that, yes, can be supplanted outside of ourselves in individuals, but it must be nurtured within. Thank you.